is what we're going to lay out for the trip plan. So this is the way I do it. Don't just plug an address into a GPS and go. Signage and atlas, number one. Double check your route. The greatest thing about trucking is you can be successful how you want to be successful. So welcome back to Freight Skater Trucking YouTube. As promised, we're going to do a trip plan real quick, and I'm going to kind of walk you guys through how I would trip plan a trip. Now, we're in Denver, Colorado right now getting unloaded. We're at a Safeway, and we've got a load that's picking up in Colton, California, and which is a long deadhead, don't get me wrong, and then it's going to drop in Pageland, South Carolina. So let's run over the load specifics real quick, and I'm going to try to do my best to kind of put dictation up on the screen so you guys can have something to look at. So Denver, Colorado to Colton, California, it's a 975 mile deadhead. And then we have to Pageland, South Carolina, we have a 2,386 dispatch loaded miles. The pickup time is 6/1/24, 23:30, which is right before midnight, and the drop time is 6:05, undetermined. So they haven't actually set it yet. So what we're going to do first after we get unloaded here, we're going to take and we're going to go up to, we're just going to do what's called the first leg of the trip. So we're going to go ahead and map out our trip first to get to Colton, which we're going to pull up on our map here, and we're going to take a look and see what the best route, the fastest route is going to be. And what it's looking like right now is the fastest route is going to be I-70 West to I-15 South to I-215 South. Now guys, when you're planning your routes, okay, it's super important to remember, if it's not a major interstate or major highway, you need to question it. Okay, so get your atlas out, check that state, find out the restrictions, if there's any restrictions, if there are any low bridge clearances, whatever the case may be. Check that atlas if you have any questions or concerns. Don't just plug an address into a GPS and go. Double check everything and make sure you're good to go. Okay, now also when you get to the final mile of your trips and you're actually talking about getting to those little driveways and stuff that you have to get to for your shippers and receivers, you want to make sure to drop a waypoint on Google and check with your shippers, check with your receivers, check with your carrier, and make sure there's not a specific way they want you to come in or a specific entrance they want you to come in. So, and also watch for signage too, guys, because there's a lot of signs that'll tell you no trucks allowed. Oh, you can't be on this street unless you're this length or this weight. Guys, keep an eye on that. Watch out for bridges and everything. Signage and atlas is number one. Don't just plug a GPS location in and take off. Double check your route, okay? So, and just for this video, we're going to be using Google. So just to kind of show you guys everything, because obviously I don't have a way to overlay my Garmin onto the actual video. So we're going to take I-70 West to I-15 South to 215 South to get to our shipper, which is in Colton, California. All right, so I'm going to start the leg of the trip because I'm here in the dock. I'm getting unloaded right now. Mama's sleeping. So I'm going to take off, and as soon as I get empty, I'm heading straight to the TA in Denver and Commerce City. The reason I'm doing that is because it's the cheapest fuel from here to California. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up. I've got a little over half a tank right now, so I'll roughly put about 80 gallons in. And then I'm probably going to get my trailer washed out. Might go ahead and get the truck washed, whatever need be. I'm going to drive 254 miles to the Loves in Grand Junction, Colorado, and I'm going to swap drivers. By that time, Mama's going to be ready to roll. Mama usually drives days, Daddy drives nights. So that's just the way it's always been. That's the way it's probably always going to be. So Mama's going to drive her 8-hour shift, because we like to keep our 8 hours for recaps. So generally speaking, like we talked to in the previous video, the 8-hour recaps, you run 8 hours and leaves yourself 45 minutes for on-duty time, and for your inspections, your fueling, your pickups, your drop-offs, whatever the case may be, guys, that gives you a 45-minute allotment every single day for your on-duty status, whatever you've got to do. So you want to make sure that you keep that light open. Now guys, don't get me wrong, if you're running recaps and say that you're already at your 8-hour drive marker, you're at that 8-hour and 45 minute window for the day, if you're 20 miles away from your pickup and you can pick the load up, or you're 20 miles away from your drop off and you can go and drop off, do it. Don't be like, well, I'm 8 hours 45 minutes, I'm just going to wait till tomorrow. No, especially in this market right now, you want to be proactive. You want to be efficient. You want to be consistent. If you can get that load off 24 hours early, 10 hours early, 12 hours early, get it off. If you can get that load picked up 10 hours early, 12 hours early, 24 hours early, get it picked up. Don't use the extra time. I promise you, if you're keeping your hours mostly balanced throughout the week, you'll always have time to run. So I know a lot of guys that like running, you know, as hard as they can 5-6 days a week, and then getting a reset, and that's fantastic. That's great. Different strokes for different folks. For me, I find that sitting in a truck stop for 34 hours, not only do I get lazy, number one, but after I'm through cleaning the truck inside and out, cleaning myself, doing laundry, taking care of paperwork, tying up loose ends, doing YouTube, I'm bored. So I have probably roughly another 16-20 hours to kill, and I have nothing to do. I like staying consistent. The best thing about running recaps is once you get on that recap cycle, whatever your carrier's based in, ours is based in Central Time. So once midnight Central Time rolls around, I can take off. That's the best time to take off, and I can usually stop around 9:30 in the morning and swap out with Angel. If she wasn't driving and I was solo, that gives me a big advantage, because 9 times out of 10, most of the guys are leaving the truck stop in the mornings between 8 and 10. So you have parking, you have showers available, you have food available to you, fresh food. It's not old nasty food at night, and you get a lot longer break than just 10 hours. So you got to remember that there's a lot of advantages to running recaps, just like there's an advantage to running wide open and getting a 34 every single week. So the greatest thing about trucking is you can be successful how you want to be successful. So this is the way I do it. This is what we're going to lay out for the trip plan. So first leg, like I said, we're going to take 70 west, I-15, 215 south. I'm filling up TA in Denver and Commerce City at $2.69 a gallon. I'm going to roughly put about 80 gallons in. I'm going to drive 254 miles to the Loves in Grand Junction, Colorado to swap drivers. Mama's going to take over and drive her 8-hour shift, which is 479 miles to the Loves number 340 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, being we're keeping recaps, I'm going to start at 6-1 on my next shift at about midnight Central Time. So I'm going to roll out towards Colton for the remaining 242 miles, which is going to be up 4 to 5 hours. You guys got to remember, in California, trucks can only do 55. So, I mean, you know, you can do whatever you want to do, but the speed limit is 55 throughout the entire state for trucks. So it's going to take about 4 to 5 hours to get down there for those remaining 242 miles. I'm going to fuel as soon as I get down there in Colton, California, unless there's going to be a huge fuel drop that I see on the app, on the Prime mobile app. I'm going to go ahead and fuel for the next 300 miles, because I've already targeted my next fuel stop, which is in, I guess say Tonopah, Arizona. So I need to allot myself for 50 gallons, roughly about 300 miles. And at the Pilot in Colton, California, which I can get that fuel at $2.93 a gallon, it's going to allow me to reach that next cheapest fuel spot in Arizona after I'm loaded in Tonopah, Arizona for $2.71 a gallon. So that's a huge difference. That's over 22 cents a gallon when you're talking about fuel. Now, when I'm figuring in how much fuel I need per mile, and let me tell you guys the formula that I'm doing it at. If I'm empty, I don't care if this truck's getting 12 miles to the gallon empty, I figure it in at 8 miles per gallon. Why do I do that? Because God forbid you get stuck in traffic. God forbid you need to idle your truck while you're sitting because it's super hot. All these things can come into play, okay? You have to change your speeds. You end up slow down. You end up, having to stop on the side of the road. You want to have enough fuel to be able to get off the side of the road. God forbid something happens. Guys, make sure that you plan ahead. So always fuel for a little bit more than what you need. Don't get yourselves down to that red line to where your truck's about to run out of fuel. So we're gonna figure in this at 7 miles to the gallon because we're about to be loaded. So 300 miles divided by 7, we're gonna put 50 gallons in Colton, California, and I rounded up, guys. So it's not gonna be an exact 50 gallons. It was like 47 and some change. So I'm always rounding up to that next even number. So fuel for 300 miles, 50 gallons of Colton, California at the Pilot 1326 for $2.93 a gallon. That'll get us, once we get loaded, that'll get us to the Tonopah, Arizona TA, and we can get fuel for $2.71 a gallon. So right now I can't pick that load up until like 11:30 at night on the 1st. So we're going to park up and get ready to go in late that night. So we can get showers, do whatever we got to do. So the second leg of the trip is your loaded leg of the trip. Now we're going to go ahead and plan that out as well. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, it doesn't really matter what time of year you're in. If you take 40, just west of Flagstaff and just east of Flagstaff is a known weather area. So there could be inclement weather pop up just like that, any time of the year. Snow, sleet, ice, whatever. If you can stay off 40, I advise you to do it. So it's like an extra 35 miles, I think it is, to take 10 to 20 all the way across to Pageland. So that's what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna go ahead and run I-10 East to I-20 East to US 601 to the receiver. Now, I wanna talk to you guys about US 601. This is one of those times we're gonna have to check our atlas real quick to make sure that we're good to run US 601. We've got our atlas now. We're gonna take a look. We're gonna go to the front of the atlas here, and we're gonna find South Carolina, okay? There's gonna be, you're looking for this portion here of your atlas. That's what you're looking for, okay? This has got low clearance and permanent way stations and restricted routes. We're gonna check, everything is alphabetized and numerical, in chronological and numerical order. So we're gonna go down the left side of this list here, look at low clearance section. We're gonna look for US 601, nothing on the low clearance. We're gonna go down to restricted routes, US 601, nothing. So we know now that US 601 is safe to take once we get off 20 all the way to our receiver in Pageland, South Carolina. And also, guys, if you're running for Prime, Prime has macros and they have directions, so you guys can actually do a macro 19 for your directions if you want a turn-by-turn direction from Prime. They put this out there for us to be able to actually get right to our shippers, right to our receivers. The choice is yours. It's always good to consider it, just like the fuel macro 27. It's always good to consider, but the macro 27 I found that does a worst case scenario, and what it's going to end up doing is it's going to stop you short of possibly the cheapest fuel when your truck could possibly go more. So knowing your equipment is super important, guys. Make sure that you know what your truck can and cannot do, and if you don't know, test the limits a little bit and find out. But it's always good to keep track of that kind of stuff, guys, the numbers that you do, which is why running OTR on the revenue software to keep up with all your numbers is probably one of the smartest things you could possibly do, guys. So you'll see that link right up in here in the description. If you want to sign up for OTR, guys, go ahead. It's free for the first 30 days, and it's definitely a game changer when it comes to knowing your numbers. Second leg, we're loaded. We got loaded right at 11:30. Now it's the 2nd of June, 6/2/24. Obviously, freight's in the hot seat. So after picking up the load, I'm going to roll out to the TA in Tonopah, Arizona for 276 miles, and I'm going to fuel at $2.71 a gallon for 800 miles. So we're 7 miles a gallon. We rounded it up to 120 gallons is what we're going to get in Arizona, because the next cheapest fuel stop I've already mapped out is the Road Ranger in Odessa, Texas. Road Ranger 271. I can get fuel there for $2.70 a gallon. Once I'm done fueling, I've done my 30-minute break. I'm going to roll out to my final stop to swap out drivers. It's going to be the Love's 831 in Wilcox, Arizona. That's another 238 miles. And then Mama's going to get in the hot seat. Mama's going to roll, after she gets in the hot seat on the 2nd, she's going to roll 510 miles to the Road Ranger in Odessa, Texas, 271, where we're going to swap out drivers once again. We're going to fuel the truck for the next 1,000 miles. So, guys, and I'm going to make something known about this next 1,000-mile trip, which is going to be about 150 gallons at $2.71 a gallon. Our next fuel stop has been mapped out in McCalla, Alabama, okay? That's a Love's number 227 for $2.69 a gallon. Now, the reason I'm going that far, and I'm not stopping in like Louisiana for $2.68, or I'm not stopping in Texas just east of Houston for $2.69 again, is because Alabama has the highest fuel tax, lowest base price out of all those states. Now you got to remember, when you start talking about IFTA, we're not going to do an IFTA video right now, but when you start talking about IFTA, the International Fuel Tax Agreement, it's kind of like income tax. The more you pay in, the more you get back. So Prime audits our IFTA automatically every 3 to 4 weeks, and guys, you want to be fueling lowest base price, highest fuel tax. So when you are looking at your fuel map, you're not going to see pump price. Don't worry about pump price at the pump. Don't worry about none of that. Look for the lowest base price. And then if you have a choice, if the lowest base price is matching up in several different states you're going through, well, check your fuel book. Go into My Prime, go into the Fuel and Services fuel book, the second quarter fuel tax guide. It'll show you guys, I'll show you guys right here on the screen, it'll show you guys what states you want to be fueling in. Okay, after we swap drivers and fuel in Odessa, Texas, I'm going to roll out at on the 3rd, right just after midnight Central Time, and I'm going to roll, trying to keep those hours even. I'm going to roll 478 miles to the TA 281 in Kilgore, Texas. We're going to swap out right there. There's really nothing appeasing after that or before that to stop, so I'm going to try to go as far as I can on that 8-hour shift we were talking about to keep our hours even and get up to that mileage marker, which is usually about 488, 500. Mama's going to take over on the morning of the 3rd, and she's going to roll out 493 miles to the Love's 227 in McCalla, Alabama, what we talked about. where we were going to make our final fuel for the trip. So we're going to swap out drivers there. I'm going to get in the hot seat. We're going to fuel for the rest of the trip, which is roughly, we figured in 50 miles total, because I wanted a little bit extra fuel just in case we got stuck in traffic or anything. So we're going to fill up for 85 gallons at $2.69 a gallon. Once I take off, the remaining part of the trip is 457 miles. I'm going to run that 457 miles all the way into the receiver in Pageland, South Carolina. Now, obviously, like I said at the beginning of the video, the drop time is not set yet. And guys, this may be one of those loads that I cannot get off early. I may be stuck on it till the 5th. But if I can get there the 4th and I can come in and I can try, ask forgiveness, not permission. That's the big rule of thumb right there. So guys, overall, the total dispatch miles on this trip is 3361. Total actual miles is 3427. Estimated fuel used for the truck only, we're not talking about the reefer, just the trucks, 485 gallons. We're going to start the trip at May 31st, 2024 in the AM, which is right now. We're going to pick it up at June 1st, 2024 at 23:30, which is right before midnight Pacific time. And we should end the trip June 4th, 2024 in the AM, in the morning. So somewhere around 8:30, 9:30 o'clock, something like that on the East Coast time. Make sure to double check your route, like I said. Double check your fuel map every single day. Do your macro 27s in the morning, do your macro 27s in the evening for Prime, if you guys are running for Prime. If you're not, the fuel fluctuates so much, guys. I mean, it can go up 10 cents, it could come down 20 cents. You never know after midnight. We're always posting updates on the channel on the community site. But it's very, very crucial, guys, to always leave enough time as well for the unexpected variables to happen. So if you have a lot of time on a load like this one's actually showing, you want to be proactive on the front end, not the back end. So don't use your extra time on the front end, because God forbid you have a tire blow, you have a reefer quit on you, something happens, you get stuck in crazy traffic, crazy weather. You want to make sure that you're safeguarding yourself so you don't get a service failure, you're not having to have that load repowered by somebody else, you're not losing that money. You want to make sure that you get where you got to go first, then play on the back end if you have to wait. If you're forced to wait, that's one thing. But if you're making yourself wait, that's a whole nother thing. That could be potential money lost. So guys, I hope this helps out with your trip planning, guys. In between these periods when we're driving, especially the ones where like we don't have to stop mid-shift to fuel, we don't have to stop somewhere to pick up or drop off, you can stop wherever you want, guys. Use Trucker Path. I use Trucker Path, and that was the app that we brought up in the video. No, I'm not sponsored by Trucker Path, but we've been using it since I've been out here since 2017. It's a great app. It'll line out your route. You can match your route up on Trucker Path with the route on your GPS or the route in the Atlas you're taking, whatever the case may be. And you can pick your stops. It actually coincides with Google. You can tap on a Loves app or a Loves icon or a TA icon, and you can actually do it for Google to take you straight there. So what I'll typically do is when I start my shift, I know where I'm going to stop for my 30-minute break or fuel, and I know where I'm going to end up at already. And another good tip is, guys, if you don't have a laptop or notes on your phone, stuff like that you like using, get you a little piece of scratch paper, little like sticky notes, stick it on the dash every day. Plan out your trip, guys, before you leave. Leave yourself enough time. Make sure that you are being consistent and efficient with how you run your business, especially in the market that we're in right now, guys, because obviously the capacity for trucks is high, the capacity for freight is low. So you want to make sure that you are edging out the competition, whoever that may be. Maybe it's your fellow drivers in the same fleet, in the same carrier that you're at, or maybe it's somebody else on the spot market. You know, you want to make sure you get those loads quick before somebody else grabs them off that board. So guys, be proactive, be efficient, be consistent. That's the easiest way to be profitable. Thanks so much for watching. I know I talk super fast and I talk a lot, and this video is still 20 minutes long, but I hope it came to some kind of help for you guys. I'm hoping that it helps somebody out in the future on how you trip plan. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you can grow. So till the next one, guys, we're almost at 8,000 subs. Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of you, every single one of you. It doesn't matter if you bring positive light to the channel or negative light to the channel. God bless every single one of you. Till the next one, stay safe, stay driven, stay focused, stay loaded. Freight Skater out.